ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. My name's Lee Marnuzzi and here with Robert Gerrish. How are you?
I'm good, Lee. It's good to be talking to you.
Yes, you too, mate. Thanks for coming on the show. Mate, I've given you a bit of an introduction in the pre-show
Sure.
blurb of mine. I just want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us what you do and perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your journey as well that got you here.
Okay, that's a dangerous opening question for me because I tend to run on, but look, just shut me up if I go on too long. Yeah, okay, good. All right. Okay, so look, Robert Gerrish is my name. I run a business called Flying Solo. We're an Australian community of solo and micro businesses. So that is people that are working by themselves fundamentally or primarily. And for your listeners, they may or may not be aware that in Australia and indeed in the US and across most of Europe and very probably the same in many other countries in the world, the vast majority of small businesses are one-person solo businesses. So in Australia, it's currently sitting at around about 73%, which is probably about 2 million people. In the US, it's been estimated to have topped 50 million and growing, particularly with the rise of the whole sort of freelance market, Airbnb, Uber and such other, I won't rattle through all of them, but yeah, so an awful lot of people working by themselves. So we've been established in Australia for about a dozen years now, 12 years.
Yep.
We launched in our current sort of manifestation in 2005, but in fact, I've been running the business by myself totally since about 1999, if you can remember that far back. So we exist to support those people that are working by themselves. We are an online publisher and community, so we publish content, written content on a daily basis. We have around, in fact, probably by the time this podcast gets published, we should have hit our 100,000 members. So we're sitting at about 99,500, I think, at the moment. Nice. Australian business members. We have some very lively discussion forums. So day or night, they're full of small businesses chatting to each other and supporting each other, which is just wonderful. And we have quite a big sort of reach as well across social, across Facebook and Twitter. So, yeah, so that's the business that I initially started by myself. And my role within it is I still do a bit of writing. I do our own sort of podcast every couple of weeks. We've recently launched a new online course, which is 80 videos of me gassing on about running a solo business. And I get involved in a number of sort of events and presentations, just banging on about the wonderful world of working by yourself.
Of working by yourself in business. So you're very passionate about business, I would guess.
I love it.
Do you consider yourself like a fundamental catalyst to a lot of people starting out and the growth of their business to the next level? Like, are you still? I'm guessing you're not alone in your business anymore. So you've obviously got a team.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there to assist businesses to take it to the next level, or are you there to assist both businesses, those that want to just stay solo and those that want to actually grow to something bigger?
Yeah, okay, look, that's a great question. I would say that, I know because we research our community on a regular basis that the large majority of the people that we sort of commune with on a daily basis are those that are running what I would term, and they would term, a sort of lifestyle business. So a business that's designed to absolutely allow them to live the life they want to live. So we do certainly have people that are members of our community that are kind of solo, but they're on a fast growth path.
Yep.
And it would be true to say that a number of those people kind of move on from us at a certain stage where we particularly help those, whether they're in startup or going along for a while, is how to really design and create your business in a way that really works for you. So that sort of foundational structure, and that kind of foundational structure is absolutely key, regardless of whether you're going to stay totally by yourself or whether you want to scale and go global and take over the world. Whatever you want to do, if the foundations aren't in place, you're not going to go very far. So we tend to restrict our language largely to those that say want to just get the best possible very small business. And have to remember, a lot of our community are running their solo business perhaps as a bit of a side hustle. They might either have another job, or they're looking after kids is very popular, or they're looking after a carer for other people. They have the portfolio kind of concept is something that's very prevalent within our community. So, So, and having said all that, just to answer your other question, so yes, there is a bit of a team of us now. So we have 8 of us that all sort of come together. But to keep us all sort of straight and honest, we also run our own solo businesses. So we're solo business owners, and we come together in this. It's a little bit like a collective, I guess you'd say. Okay. So, which is very important to me, because if I'm sitting there talking about solo business all the time, it just doesn't sit with me. If I'm in, think of myself as working in a bigger business. So yeah, it's a very unique little sort of setup, and happily it works.
So just on that, what is your other side? Do you have another side business that you run solo? Is there another passion?
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily business. I mean, yes, I have a minor, and this is very minor, sort of investment in property. I'm a very involved sort of father. So, I won't class my son as a business. He's certainly not a revenue stream. But I devote a lot of time to him.
Not yet.
Not yet. My wife is an artist, so I work with her and kind of support her. And on occasions, I will do sort of speaking gigs or coaching assignments on a sort of fairly ad hoc basis. So it's that that really ideal, I think, means of being able to juggle things around. So what Flying Solo gives to me is kind of regular, reliable food on the table revenue, and then I can supplement that with other things that I do, the bulk of which are in kind of related areas. I also have a passion for chairs, old chairs, particular chairs. So I sort of buy and sell chairs, but that's just, I can't say I make much money out of that, but there you go.
No, but I like the idea of incorporating passion into our life, and I think the more of that I do in my life personally, the more happiness I seem to have, and I think that's the message that I like to promote to the audience as well. So it's interesting to hear everyone's passions, whether it makes money or not.
And I think the thing is as well, if for a lot of people that are working by themselves in their own businesses, if you sort of draw a parallel with someone in employment, and say you look at someone who's been running their own business, and maybe they've been running that business for 3, 4, 5 years or more. If you were in a job for that long, the chances are you'd be at some point going up to your boss and knocking on the door and going, for goodness sake, freshen me up a bit. Give me something else to do. Now in our own businesses, we have to do that ourselves. There is no boss. We are the boss. The buck stops with us. So in order for us to freshen things up, moving into other little areas is one way to do it. I mean, any business that's kind of standing still at the moment, is going backwards, and we all know that. And particularly in this kind of marketplace, we've got to evolve and innovate and develop. But I think the joy of the agility that we can have by working by ourselves is, if you like the look of something over there, well, go and give it a go. And I think the portfolio business, I just think is a delightful business. But again, the important thing is, are they built on foundations? Have you got the basic structures in place? Because if you haven't, if you're not careful, that little distraction can end up sucking a lot of time or money or both.
Taking you off track, right. And I talk about, for the individual and lifestyle design, setting yourself up with that foundation, which is your hidden why, that I call it, or your life compass, and defining that. And once you've got that structure in place, no matter what direction you take, you're always going to take better, more purposeful action and have greater decisions about the direction you're taking. Which I assume is relevant for business as well.
Oh, totally. I think if you haven't got, whether I love your hidden why. I think also you might look at it as values. If you don't have a clear picture of the things that make you tick and the things that are important to you and the values that you hold dear, if you don't have that clear, then how are you ever going to make a decision.
Yeah.
You're going to make it based on how bright and shiny it is, or how desperate you are. You'll make decisions that are not founded. Whereas when you've got the why clarified, your values clarified, then you can look at something and go, okay, this could fit for me. This might work.
Yeah.
And then sure, go ahead and do it. But if it doesn't fit, stop wasting your time, let it go, and get on with your work.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to that, because I'd like to talk about that and how it relates to business. But I want to just go back to the point you made before about lifestyle businesses, and it seems to be on the rise. People wanting to freelance and have this lifestyle, and I want your opinion on perhaps why this is occurring, and is it possible? Like, is it going to continue at this rate? Because I feel there's a lot more people doing it every day. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this whole concept and where it's come from and why?
All right. Well, look, I think it's probably worth just clarifying for a moment lifestyle business, because we've long sort of looked at the terminology that we use as a business, and we could sort of shy away a little bit from lifestyle business because some of the connotations and the pictures that people put out there are just complete bullshit. And it's, and
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, and we want to distance ourselves from that. So any thought of just, lying in a hammock with your laptop, under a nice shady palm tree, forget it. That's not what I mean by lifestyle business. What I mean is, what is the life that you live, the life that you like to live realistically, and how can you design a business that will allow you to do that? So I'm not talking, we don't profess to be able to help anyone to get rich quick. We're not that. We're not the kind of business that talks about, how to make a mozza in your pajamas and work 2 hours a day. It's bullshit. All of it is. It really is. Now, sure, you can finesse your business and gradually nurture a business that gives you elements of that. But I mean, a lot of that stuff just drives me absolutely crazy. And, if Tim Ferriss works 4 hours a day, well, that's funny because he seems to do an awful lot more work than that than I can see. But I love him dearly, and I think he does some great stuff. But, I just think this whole... this myth of lifestyle business. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
Let's go back to the term lifestyle business then, and how do you define it then? Because I've got my own thoughts right now in my head, but I'll just throw it over to you.
Yeah, well, look, I haven't got a nice, snappy elevator pitch that will tell you what it is, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a business that allows you to do those things that are important to you in your life. Good. That might be spending good time with your family. It might be spending, regular time looking after your mental health, your physical health, your general well-being, your loved ones, your partners. That's what a lifestyle business is to me. A business that allows you to live the way you want to live, allows you to surround yourself with the people you want to work with, doing a work that is meaningful and that registers, that does something for you, and hopefully leaves some kind of positive legacy on the world. Businesses, like when people talk to me, we have certain, in Sydney, unfortunately, a lot of the kind of celebrities, the people in the news, are either real estate agents or people making money out of casinos. Now, I have no problem with real estate agents. I do not feel that they deserve celebrity quite, though, because they're basically salespeople. And there's a certain man that we all know who makes a lot of money out of casinos. Does not impress me in the least. If you're going to run a business, then for goodness sake, let's do something that has some value to the wider community. If you're just in business to make money, please don't come to Flying Solo. If you're in the business where you want to create meaning and generate revenue, then we welcome you with open arms.
I like it. I love your honesty, mate. I'm just thinking, you touched on a point before about working a regular job, and it just triggered the thought about lifestyle for me. And when people consider going into business or being an entrepreneur, for me, I know the reality that it can be a lot of hard work and it can chew up a lot of your time, more than working a 40-hour-a-week job. But for me, it's really about still having that sort of 40-hour-a-week schedule or whatever it might be. And again, everyone's different to what they want to work. But then still being able to do those other things on the outside, as you said, it's the important thing. So being able to wake up and have breakfast with my kids, being able to write, being able to exercise, all those things are really important. Being able to travel with freedom rather than being locked into a schedule. So that's, I love your definition of a lifestyle business, and I'm glad you clarified it from all the rubbish that's out there and all the tempting messages that a lot of young people, I think, are attracted to because they sell on the key points of, loads of money, loads of freedom, loads of travel, and, plenty of time with your mates. What?
Yeah, and sorry, can I just comment about the hours that you mentioned there? I think when you've really created the business that you want, like if you ask me how many hours a week do I work, I have got no idea. I really don't. If you ask me how many hours a week are my eyes open, I could probably answer that one. Because with my work, this whole thing of boundaries between life and work. Where does one stop? Where does one start? When you've got the whole thing right, basically not boundaries, balance between life and work. When you've got the thing right, it's not balance between life and work. It's balance within life and work. There's no between. For me, I don't know what time of day I start work. I don't know what time of day I finish work. When I go walking with my wife, I might and indeed I do, wander off in the distance and think about work. Yeah. When I'm having dinner or lunch, I might think of something and look at something on the end of my fork and go, "That's a nice design. I wonder how we're going to." So it's actually, that whole delineation thing. It can create more trouble than it's worth. If you're loving what you do, you're a nice human being. That means your children actually want to see you. Yeah. They're not scared of you. Your wife is happy to spend time with you. So that's how you want to be. My wife's never grumbled to me that I work too much, ever. And nor will she have to. She won't have to. My son, bless him, one of the first things he said when he was much younger is he was asked at school what your dad does. And he said, "I don't think my dad does anything." And I was really pleased that was his response. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. He's got to whatever that was, 6 or 7 years of age. He doesn't actually think I work. Well, bring it on. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I like that. I think my daughter thinks the same too. Because she goes to work and I'm sitting in here on my laptop. Exactly. And I like that too. I mean, it's not about work, and I think the term work, I actually recently had a friend who said to me, he goes, I've never really liked work. I've always told you I never really want to work. And I went away and thought about it, and I thought, that's because your perception of what work is different, and it's not what you want to be doing. And I thought, if you actually like what you're doing, it's hard to consider it work. Like what I do with The Hidden Why, I don't consider it work. It's what I love to do. I like to create and produce and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I get that. And there is certainly a balance there.
Look, I agree. And I think it's also important for us to acknowledge, I don't want anyone listening to this to think I just breeze through life having a super time all the time. I do not. I do things in my day that I absolutely don't enjoy. I have stresses and anxieties during the course of a week, the same as anyone else, whether they're business, family, relationships, health, or whatever. So it's not all rosy. And I think, again, that's part of the thing that I think is wrongly promoted by certain sort of areas of life and business. It is hard work, but as long as it's seated in as long as the foundations are such that they align with what you want to do, then do a bit of hard work. Tough it out. It's not like we can all just sit around doing nothing all day long. And I've got not now, but a while ago, we lived next door to some people who were they had a great deal of revenue from somewhere, I don't know what, and lived next door to us with all their doors and windows open. And I've never heard so much unhappiness emanating from a house in my life. And without being too judgmental, there was nothing of meaning being done, nothing of meaning, nothing of purpose. So all this poor couple had to do was to sit there and bicker and argue with each other. Well, if that's what really good work brings.
That sucks. And that's what I'm passionate about. I don't want it in my life, and I don't want it in other people's lives. I think we follow these paths that cause all this self-suffering and give us lack of meaning. And I mean, at the end, it's going to be a life you look back on and go, shit, really? What did we do that for?
Yeah, what happened?
So, but really good points. How do we go about, I guess, defining our business why, or those foundations you talk about? What are the elements of it? And have you got any tips for us or suggestions that we could do for those
Yeah,
people
look,
wanting to get into it?
yeah, look, of course, I have, but I should preface them by saying you probably won't hear anything new. It's so many people say these things, but I believe at the core of every business, and let's assume we're talking about someone who's maybe thinking about going into business, but hopefully this will also resonate with people that are in business and want to enliven it a little. One of the key things is you've got to have, and this, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking you must have heard this a million times. The main thing, you've got to have some idea where the heck you're going with it. What do you want it to look like?
Yep.
But not just your business, but your life as well. And sometimes what happens is people, when they start to think of the future, they have very unrealistic expectations. And unfortunately, what you're doing there is you're setting yourself up for failure. And people will immediately, particularly if they're being told that you've got to do a business plan, you've got to get some figures in there. I don't think so. I think one of the key things is to start off with, in your mind, a clear picture of what sort of work do you think you want to be doing? What sort of people do you want to have around you? What sort of pursuits do you want to be doing alongside your work? Now, and again, I know that none of this is terribly new to you. Can I just show you that
it's always good to have a different perspectives. Yes.
Let me just get my prop. One sec.
Work, people.
Okay, and look, and again, I know this is not the first time you've seen one of these, but this was my vision board. Can you see that? Is that coming through? I won't hold it there forever. Right. So now that was created, I think about 16 years ago.
16, okay.
16 or 17. And I had an idea. I had elements of my sort of route ahead clear for me. I'd very recently moved from one side of the world to the other as part of a midlife adventure. I refuse to call it a crisis. I came from the UK. I arrived in Australia, and I'd met my now wife, and I had an idea of the life I wanted to live. I've been living a very full-on sort of life in the marketing and design industry in London. And I wanted to change. I wanted to put my lifestyle and my health and my well-being first. I was basically in London, and I was turning into a complete prick. I'd been in this advertising and marketing industry for a number of years, and I was being sucked into this kind of vortex of I don't know. It just wasn't. Nastiness. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't quite nasty, but it was. I knew it wasn't right. My mother and my father both recently died. Which is a bit of a wake up. You think, hang on a minute, what am I doing with my life? And I was in the kind of my midlife. So I made the good sense to move to the other side of the world, somewhere where the sun actually shines and people smile. That was a bit of a change. So I had this idea of how I wanted to work. I knew I wanted to work fundamentally by myself. I knew I wanted to work in a nice little office that I could, a funky little office that I could kind of have my own. I knew I wanted to talk with people that were trying to do something with meaning, that were trying to do something intentional, with their lives. But I had no idea what it was. No idea. Now, when I first arrived, so I did this vision board that showed people around me, that showed sort of tall buildings. I knew I wanted to do something that got the attention of the corporate world. On this vision board, it shows a picture of a young child, relaxed. My wife and I, she was not pregnant. We didn't have any plans at that point. On the picture, there's also one of a woman lying down, relaxed. And I still to this day take any sign of my wife relaxing as to be a positive sign. I think if she's cool enough in the middle of the day that she can lie down and have a little zzz or do some of her art, then that makes me feel successful. Yeah, nice. And if I have a son that's a happy son and is doing decent things, that makes me feel successful. So all these are on this board. Yep. But I had no idea what my occupation was. Yeah. No idea. But so what I think is, to answer your question, what do you need? You should start building your picture, even if there are massive gaps in it. And my gap was the whole thing that was actually going to generate revenue. I didn't know what it was. But then because I'd clarified all the other pieces, I was able to make judgments over what I didn't want to do. Yeah. So when opportunities came to me, and one of them was, offers to go back into the industry that I'd left. I thought, well, that's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to do that from a nice home office. No. So, but little by little, just by creating this really clear picture, things started happening. I always think of this as a kind of a parallel with a dating website. If you put on a dating website, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a woman, and that's the end of your profile. That's not going to work really well for you. But if you say, I'm looking for a brunette between the ages, I'll describe my wife here just so I don't get in trouble. If I'm looking for, I'd like to live with a brunette aged between 45 and 60, who's into art and who, blah, 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 blah. The more detail you put, the more likelihood is that you're going to attract the person you want. And the same is true in business.
Yeah.
The more detail you put around it, even if there's big gaps, you might not know whether it's a man or a woman you want, but you can still put all the other bits in.
Yep.
And then little by little, then opportunities will start to come to you, and you can go, that fits, that doesn't fit.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so sorry, that's a bit of a waffly response.
No, it's good. It's good, and it's important, and I think it's exactly what I talk about when it comes to the why. What's your vision? How do you want your life to be? And it's not about what you want to be doing; it's how you want to be in life. And I think that's a great way to look at business as well, and to really have that clear, because then it allows you to make those judgments, as you said. So, thank you for sharing that. Now, is business and entrepreneurship, going in on your own? Is it for everyone?
No, it certainly isn't. It doesn't suit everybody, and. Because for some people, particularly those that have come out of employment, if they're suddenly working by themselves for the first couple of days, it's like, oh, this is fantastic. I can walk around in my PJs and do freedom. But then if you haven't really thought things through, you find that bouncing ideas off your dog or cat doesn't really do it for you. And you might find that if you haven't got some structure around you, that you have sort of aimless hours. Whereas in a job, often there'll be somebody coming up saying, how's that job going, or what's your how's that deadline looking? So it doesn't suit everybody. Some people come into it and they just can't. I mean, it could suit just about everyone, I think.
So it's around having that discipline then with your time and management?
Discipline and planning, and designing your own business, not what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for someone else.
Okay. I'm guessing that's a trap for a lot of people, is that they come into it looking at what everyone else is doing and saying, oh, that looks nice, maybe that's what I should be doing.
Yeah, yes, I would say it is, and I think that there's a number of traps, but that is certainly one of them. Is it looks really easy, and to some people it's very natural. I would class myself as fortunate in that most of my sort of formative years in work was in and around the whole area of marketing and positioning and design and all that stuff. So, marketing for a lot of people is a real struggle, which
I'll put my hand up.
Yeah, well, look, forgive me for saying this, but it shouldn't be a struggle because there's nothing difficult about marketing. However, what often will happen, if I'm talking to someone who's struggling a bit with marketing, I'll say, okay, so if marketing is your key priority, I'm not going to start coaching you, don't worry. But
if marketing, Robert.
No, okay. But if marketing is your key challenge at the moment, let's have a look in your diary right now and see how much time you're dedicating each week into professional development in the area of marketing. Now, I'm not talking to you, okay? I'm talking broadly now.
Yeah.
But so
that's a really good point.
Yeah, and often what we find is that, again, particularly for the slightly unstructured, unfocused solo business owner, is that we can all, they'll busy their time. Yeah. We all busy our time. I could spend all day in my inbox and really look ever so busy. My fingers would be whizzing across the keypad all day long. I'd look so busy. I'd feel busy, but I wouldn't be doing what's important for my business.
Yeah, we often procrastinate in those situations. Rather than focusing on what we should.
Exactly right. And we bury ourselves in the things that we're comfortable with, that we can do. And we, often one sort of real sign of that is if you leave your workplace, your office, and at the end of a day and somebody says, did you have a good day? What have you been doing? If your response is, I've just been really busy all day, but I couldn't tell you what I've been doing, that's not a good response. What we need to be really clear, we have to be really clear as successful small business owners, What are my priorities? What am I doing today to satisfy that priority? And often that's not what we do. If marketing's your thing, or it might be finance, let's see a 1 hour block or a 45-minute block or a 2 hour block in your diary that says, right, in that time, I'm going to turn everything off. All I'm going to do is speed read a book, or I'm going to watch a dozen, Seth Godin marketing videos, or I'm going to spend an hour researching, how to crush it on Facebook, or whatever your hot topic is, and don't do anything else. But the danger is often when it's a topic that either we don't feel comfortable about or we don't know much about, a little part of us is always looking around waiting for something that can distract us. Ooh, I must go over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your original question was, does it suit everybody? No, it doesn't. It could suit a whole lot more, though, if they were really clear on what they're trying to achieve with it. And, we exist to support those people that do struggle. That's our whole reason being. And, in this day and age, to be in a business where you're feeling cut off, disconnected, is unacceptable, frankly, because we've never had the kind of facilities we've got to be connected. And there's so many ways. We've written countless articles. We've got a whole section on our course about it. Being connected, holding yourself accountable, really just such important areas of running your own business. And none of it is too hard. No. But it just takes a bit of concentration.
Yeah. I guess the trap, and we sort of touched on it, but the trap is for people that are looking at this as an option, or perhaps people even in business right now, maybe they've had an idea of how they want to be, and usually I think they have maybe the wrong sort of vision. Maybe it's just monetary. I want millions of dollars so I can buy that flash car. And certainly for me, I had a nice picture of a car on my vision board for years. And there was other elements that were true to what I really visioned, but the car, I don't have any need for a nice car. I've never had fascinations for cars, other than I like to get to places that I want to visit, and I like to be comfortable where possible. But otherwise, it's ridiculous to be on my vision board. But I think a lot of people fall into that trap of doing things that aren't true to their self or to what their talents or skills are. What suggestions do you have for people out there, other than going out there and looking at the vision of how they want to be and their lifestyle that they want to create? How then do we find the business that's for us, whether that's offline or online?
Yeah, okay. Well, that's another great question. Look, one of the things is I think that in our businesses, or those people that are starting solo businesses, in many cases, they look too far away from what they're already doing. And I'll just explain that. What I mean by that is, for many, the most successful way they can get started on business is to absolutely use skills and connections they already have.
Right.
But a lot of people, when they get to, if they've been in a job, they maybe dislike that job, all they can think about is getting the hell away from that kind of job and industry. And then what often happens is sometime later they realize that actually the connections in that industry, the people in that industry are absolutely the people that can help them promote the business that they want. Right. So the first thing is, I would say, if you're not sure what you want to do, look closely, look closely around you. Look at the things that you do naturally that you enjoy doing. Right. And again, this might sound sort of basic, but it's a piece that people often miss. They'll charge after something about which they know nothing. And that's where I think mistakes can be made. Look close is the thing I would say. Look around you, near to you.
Yeah.
The other thing I do is have the courage to reach out to others, friends, contacts, acquaintances. It's very easy to set up a quick little survey on SurveyMonkey, or do it through a Google Doc or something, where you're literally just asking people, we've known each other for X number of years. What do you see as my strengths? Or where do you think I particularly have helped you in work that we've done? It's asking for feedback. Now, it's the kind of thing that not many people do. And if they Google that sort of topic, there's lots of people that have written suggestions much better than mine as to exactly the questions that you'd ask. We've got an article on our site about it somewhere. But I think that's a good thing, is ask those, but don't just ask your mum, because she'll tell you that you're bloody gorgeous and wonderful and terrific at everything. Yeah. Don't do that, right? Mum's family and friends, sure, include them, but don't limit yourself to them. We need to reach out a bit further to other people that are in our sort of wider sphere. And I think once we start to do that, then we'll start to see some themes appearing, similarities appearing. And there was a lovely expression that I heard a few years ago about passion, and I'll just weave this in here because I do think it's relevant. Is there's a lot spoken about, you've got to have passion in your business, you've got to have passion in your business, follow your passion and all that stuff. And whilst I don't agree with it, I think it can be very distracting and very annoying for people who just sitting there thinking, but I haven't got passion, I haven't got it, or it's, and particularly for people that are in their business, they might be in it and they're thinking, I've got no passion for this. But the phrase I heard was, take your passion with you. So what this person was talking about more is, rather than going out looking for it from afresh, is just think, what are you passionate about? Now, if there's a woman up the road who runs a pharmacy, I'll use her as an example. She has told me she is bored brainless by the pharmacy industry. She doesn't like it. She doesn't enjoy it, the industry. However, her passion is talking to people and connecting with people. And I have never met somebody in a retail store who connects the way this woman does. But she doesn't do it to sell products, although of course that's an outcome of the conversation, the relationship. She does it because that's what she's passionate about. So when we first moved into this area where I live now, the first time I went in there, she said, "Hello, I haven't seen you before. What's your name?" And I told her my name, and I had my son with me then as a baby. "What's his name?" Told her that. And I was in there, I can't remember what I was buying, mints or something. And I went back in about 3 weeks later, as I'd no sooner walked in the door and said, "Hello, Robert, how are you? How's Jay?" Oh my God, I almost fell over. And this is how she operates. She says, "Oh, you settled in your house now. Do you need a cleaner or anyone to do your garden for you or anything? Because I've got loads of contacts." And this is what this woman's like.
Connector.
She's a total connector. Connector before the phrase connector even became a phrase, but that's her passion. Her passion is talking to people, connecting people. But she works in a business that she doesn't find exciting, but it doesn't matter. It's her, when she opens the door every morning, she goes into her life of connection and she loves it. So
you need something in what you do that keeps you feeling good and gives you that experience. Otherwise, it's hard to keep going. And if that means, an element of the business you don't like, but you've got something there that gives you that feeling, that experience, then you're going to have that motivation to continue. And
look, and going back to my vision board, as I said to you, I had a gap. I didn't know what I was going to do. And what's funny, the final thing that sort of filled it in for me was I was at a dinner party and met this guy who's a psychologist, lovely man. And he was sort of, you know what psychologists are like. You just don't want to sit next to them because they're just, or I don't, because I get thinking, oh my God, he's going to start asking me lots of questions. But he actually asked me some fantastic questions. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, actually, I've just, recently arrived in the UK and I was in the kind of marketing and advertising industry. So I'm just kind of helping out a few marketing design companies with their positioning and marketing and things. And he said, do you enjoy it? I said, well, no, not really. I'm still trying to work out, exactly what I want to do. And he said, well, what do you enjoy? And I said, well, actually, do you know what? Funny enough, the best part of the day is after I've done all my sort of consulting work and then go to the pub or cafe with the business owner and we just sort of talk about wider issues. And he really started talking to me about it. And he said, you should look at this new thing called coaching. This was in 1998. I said, what's coaching? And he said, and 2 weeks later I signed up for a course in the US and that started the journey. Out of coaching came through doing that, which was a very new thing then. I somehow got the attention of ABC and ABC Four Corners in Australia, did a show on new work styles, and they used me as the example of this new thing called coaching. So I suddenly, from having 2 clients, I had like 50 clients because I was on national television. I then realized that, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I didn't want to be this busy. Who are the people I love working with? Who are the ones I don't love working with? And out of that came flying solo, because I realized the people I love working with were people on their own. I launched flying solo, and 12 years later, here we are. So that's how it all happened.
I like it.
But I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea what I was going to do. But it was only by kind of doing something and having all the elements of the picture clear that when that little piece of the jigsaw came in, it was like, wallop, off it went.
Made sense. Yeah. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
I realised my computer was about to run out of batteries. Now I want to get into some. I've got some questions I want to ask you. I'm appreciative of your time, so I realise that we could chat all day.
Okay.
Now, so going into business, what are some of the critical bits of homework or things that we should look at before going into either buying a business that's established or setting up our own business?
Okay. Well, I'll try and give you a succinct answer to that, because the key thing, I think, is being realistic about what that business can generate for you. So one of the hardest things when you're starting a business or buying a business are those first few months when you are spending a lot more than you're earning, certainly in most businesses. And in my experience of observing a lot of businesses, if there's one thing that a lot of startups don't do, is they don't have or they don't give the business enough time to start working. So they're unrealistic. Right. So they don't have enough reserves of revenue. So what I would say to that is if you've already got a day job, if you've got some other form of income, then you might well consider keeping that running whilst you start.
Whilst you're starting up.
So don't put yourself under financial pressure early on, because again, going back to that sort of dating website, if you put on there looking for someone, and preferably someone with money because I'm broke, it's not attractive. And the same is true in business. If you're desperate, it shows. It's like having a sticker in the middle of your forehead. It just shows. So that's one of the key things. The other thing, I think, and the main reason a lot of startups these days are not working out, is because they're not doing enough research. And there was a survey published quite recently, actually, by Productivity Commission, I think, here in Australia, where they reviewed a number of startups, 150, I think. Oh, no, sorry, I'm getting my surveys confused. This was actually a survey done in the US, where they analysed a number of startup failures. And these were not just any old startups. These are startups that had got to the point where they had some seed funding, and the minimum was $1 million. So this was, I think it was actually 1,500 businesses each that had received funding up to $1 million and yet not worked. And they looked into why they hadn't worked. And the overriding theme that came out of all of them was there was no market for their products or their service. Now, that sounds so basic, but we see it in a much smaller scale in solo businesses. Is it looks exciting, it looks shiny, it sounds wonderful, but no one wants to buy it. And, there's really no excuse for that, because what that means is that we need to do more research. Yeah. And research isn't just hitting Google for half an hour. Research isn't just talking to your mates. Research is more involved than that, and we haven't got time to go right into that. But I think, start, if you're going to start a business, let's make sure it's a business that people want, or a service that people want. Yeah. And, we can find out about these things.
Okay, now just on marketing, because I know you're an expert in this field as well, what are some bits of advice you'd give to the audience for, marketing, maybe some of the bigger pieces that they could look at, maybe connecting or whatever might be appropriate? Yeah,
okay. Well, look, one of the key things with marketing, I think, is, and again, I heard it a million times probably, you've got to know who you're marketing to. If you, and that means almost doing another kind of vision board thing of designing exactly who is it you're going to, do you want to work with, who is it you're going to sell to, and writing as much detail there. Because if you can't get into the head clearly of the person that's going to be buying from you, then you're never going to have the right language to sell your business.
So sell your
yeah, just really look at who is it you're selling to. When you've done that, then you can use the right sort of language. Can I give you ever such a quick little story that I used here?
Yep.
Okay. So many years ago, when I was living in England, I went on holiday to the south of Spain. When you live in England, you have to fly south to get sunshine, basically. And and I was on holiday in Spain. It was one of those package holidays where you get sort of things thrown in whether you want them or not. And one of them was an early morning sort of lesson on how to do self-defense, how to throw people over your shoulder and hit them where it hurts and all that stuff. So I sort of attended this, because it was part of the deal. And I didn't remember other than one phrase that the guy said. He said, if a gang of people are attacking you in the street, it's no good just calling for help. Because our newspapers, our media are full of stories of people who call for help and everybody just walks past. What you need to do is you need to pick someone out. So you in the red jacket with the Jack Russell Terrier, help me. Now, when you pick someone out in a crowd, that person is not going to walk away. That person is not going to do nothing because you've assigned a task to them. You've spoken to them. And that's what we need to do in our marketing, is have that sort of thinking, is speaking to an individual. It's so a lot of businesses think, I don't want to niche because if I niche, I'm going to shut the door on 90% of possibility.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so rather than a blanket market approach, is just really speaking to that individual. Yeah,
right to one person. If I were going back into coaching now, I'd be saying, if you run a 1 to 3 person creative that has the market sort of clarified, knows what you're doing, but the business just isn't happening, I'd like to talk to you. I'd be so specific. I'd be so clear. And what happens when you are really specific, you get the attention of the people you really want, but you'll still also get people saying, I know you said you only wanted to work with creative businesses. I'm actually in this business. Can we have a chat? You'll still get those opportunities.
Yeah.
But the important thing is you'll primarily get the people you want.
Okay. Is there a preferred platform to use as far as social media goes, or is it just based again on your business, like Twitter?
I think it's totally based.
LinkedIn.
Once you're clear on who your customers really are, then the next stage is, okay, where do they live? Where do they congregate? Yes. So I can't say. Yeah. I mean, look, for us in our business, Facebook is where we have probably the greatest reach and connection. But it's a lot of people are finding different. Instagram, they're all the danger there as well is, I guess, and this is a whole new other topic, is just be careful if you're building too much of your marketing on someone else's platform, because they might change it, they might shut it, they might decide that they don't want you on their platform. So, but yeah, it all comes down to being clear on who it is you want to talk to.
Okay. Now you've got you've authored a book called Flying Solo: How to Go It Alone in Business. That's right.
Correct.
So the audience can have a look at that book. Now, I assume it's not all about going it alone in business. I assume there is help. You can ask questions.
Yeah, sure. Look, the thing with us is that yes, the book is certainly there, and really, I guess the more modern manifestation of that now is our new course, which is called Work Your Way. And that takes everything that we know about running a solo business, and it's kind of the book on steroids, if you like, with videos and worksheets and discussion areas. And look, the whole, anybody can contact me, robert@flyingsolo.com.au, and ask me any question they like. But there's also our forums where there's many hundreds of other people that much more knowledgeable than I probably who can answer questions.
Okay, cool. And do you think we all have a why?
I hope so. Yeah, I sincerely hope so.
We talked about it a bit, I guess, in this episode, but
look, yes, we do. There are some people where the why might be momentarily covered up and not obvious, but it's all there. But it takes a while. I think as I'm talking to you now, my lovely teenage son is still deep asleep, and it's the middle of the day. But it is the end of school holidays. So, I think he's missing a bit of a why, but I can see it forming. And his main why seems to be skateboarding. If I could just change that into education, that would be good, but enough of my problems. But I think, yes, I do think that
I get it.
Everybody has got a why, and it evolves. Yeah. So don't stress if it's not obviously there. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep communing with the world. If you're in a business where the phone isn't ringing, then get out from behind your desk, go for a walk, go somewhere where there are people. Just get out. No solution comes when you're sitting at home staring at your computer. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, and what does living life with passion and purpose mean to you?
To me, it means really being able to spend time with the people I want to spend time with, and for them wanting to or being happy to spend that time with me. So what I mean by that, when I walk out of my workspace, I want to be a nice person to meet, and I mean that in terms of my family and my friends. So for me, living on purpose and living with passion means that I am able to meander comfortably through the world, and that what I'm doing is fundamentally good, meaningful stuff. This sounds very waffly, but
no, but you started on that too at the start, and I think that sense of meaning in what we do is a big part to the happiness picture, and you've just got to find it and work on it, and it'll evolve as well. I want to go and ask some quick round questions here. So,
yeah, sure.
There's a few of them. We'll see if we can get through them. We only got 5 minutes, so
all right, go.
one word or one sentence answers, that'd be great. So what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? Find the love in everything that you do. Just look for it. Okay. Just find the bit you enjoy and work on that. Don't stress that whether the full picture's there or not. Do you have any routines or practices that you believe contribute to your success in life? Sleep is a good one. Putting my mental and physical well-being near the top of the list, I would say, is probably the single most thing. Yeah. Is you have to look after yourself, because if you don't, then you can't look after other people. It's a bit like, when they say on the aeroplane is, if you've got kids with you, put your life vest on first and then figure theirs out. Yeah. I think that's the same in life. Is you've got to look after yourself. You've got to be, sound and steady yourself if you're then going to be able to present well to the world. So that would be my thing, is I make sure I've got time for myself. I make sure I'm present when I'm with people that I love. Yeah. Okay. How would you define success? What's your meaning of success? I think sleeping well is a very good one. If you can sleep peacefully, then I think that's pretty good. And just enjoying what you do. I think that's my thing. There were people who probably wish I did care more about it. I don't think too much about money and finances and long pointy cars or big houses. I just don't. And maybe it's because I'm also, Okay, no, I got asked that question today, and they said, what's your earnings? And I said, well, to me, it's irrelevant. Like, I love the life that I live, and I've got everything I need. And but if I've got a cup of coffee in front of me, and I've got family, and I've got some things in front of me in the future that I'm looking forward to, that's pretty successful as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And what is your favourite food? Well, this is the Pom inside me coming out. I have a bit of a soft spot for curries, Indian curries. I must admit, I love curries. Yes. I would say that's probably it. I mean, my wife is very wonderful and keeps me surrounded by lots of lovely fruit, and we're going through a whole salad thing at the moment. But look, if someone said you've got one meal before you leave this earth, it would be an Indian curry. Indian curry, any particular type of curry? Let's get specific. I'm starting to dribble on my keyboard now. Well, there's something rather lovely that involves aubergines. I can't remember. Brinjal bhaji, I think it is. Okay. That's a really gorgeous dish. Yeah, that's enough for us. I'm going to start dribbling. Okay. It's not a good look. What is your favourite leisure activity? Well, this will sound a bit naff as well, probably. Look, spending time with my darling wife, wandering around galleries and places, sitting in cafes, those kind of things. But I suppose to answer it more directly, walking is my thing. Yeah. I walk every day, and going for a walk this afternoon with a mate for a couple of hours. I just love walking. Nice. What is it about walking in particular that sets you up, sets you on fire?
Well, I find it very meditative,
Yeah.
actually. I find that, if I go out with a sort of a challenge or a problem in my mind and then just sort of park it in the back of my mind, by the time I come back, miraculously, it's gone. Or sorry, it's gone. It's been solved, or a potential solution. I also have ways I carry around myself, which is kind of walk yourself happy, which is if I'm feeling a bit blur or whatever, a walk always fixes it. There's other I love yoga as well. I love a few other things, but walking is the thing. What I love as well about it is it doesn't take much effort. I learned to walk years ago, and I can still do it. And and as long as I've got shoes on my feet, I can walk, and it's just lovely. I love it.
Oh, nice. Do you have a favourite book you'd like to recommend for the audience, or one you've read recently that might benefit?
Favorite book. Well, look, it's not a business book. I love any work by Michael Connolly, Henning Mankell, sort of murder mystery thrillers. I love the sort of the strategy and the thing. It's not I love reading about people getting blown to bits, but I just think Michael, particularly his book, The Lincoln Lawyer. I just love the book. I just think it's so clever, and I love thinking about that strategic brain. I like those, and they're real escapes. It's escape. It's nothing to do with business.
Yeah, I like that too.
Those are the ones I like.
And a quote that you might have for the audience, the favourite quote.
Okay. Well, one that I constantly use is one from Bertrand Russell, who's a philosopher and all-round odd guy from sort of early 19th century in the UK. And the quote that I love is, "The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time." And I just think that's lovely. The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. So if I'm really busy and I have an issue and I can't think of a solution, and I take myself off for a walk, a lot of wouldn't do that because they think, hang on a minute, I've got a crisis here, I've got to stay here and fix it. But I don't. I go for a walk. And as I'm walking out, I say to myself, the time I enjoy wasting is not wasted time. And it's a bit like the Dalai Lama with his lovely quote as well, is I've got so much work to do today, I'm going to have to meditate for twice as long. Both of those that have sort of similar themes. It's just have the courage to step away from your problem and do something else. And it's if you're enjoying it, then it's a good move.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that too, and it can be the powerful stuff that happens. It will affect your life dramatically. Just taking the time.
And look, finally on that, I mentioned before that I love chairs, and I do. And my wife calls it chair porn because she'll often come into my office and I'm wading through particular chairs on Gumtree or eBay or something, and I'll just say to her, the time I enjoy wasting, darling, is wasted time. So and it's a lovely distraction. I mean, how lovely is it that I can, as a furniture lover, dive into the biggest furniture marketplace instantly and be surrounded by all the things I love? I mean, how good's that?
It's good. Mate, it's been a pleasure to chat with you. How can the I know you've mentioned the course that you've got already, but how can the audience reach out to you and find out more about you?
Yeah, well, look, that's great. Thank you. Well, look, please do have a look at our course. It's at soloism.com. So that's our new website that features our course. Love people to have a look at it. And in fact, if they use the coupon code podcast that I just set up, they get a little bit of a discount. It's pretty cheap anyway. So please have a look at that. Also, flyingsolo.com.au. That's our Australian community. Please come and look at it there. And look, I'm around, and it's been great talking to you. All I can think about now are Indian curries and chairs. You screwed up.
Nice. Well, I hope you go and have one tonight, maybe. Robert Gerrish, it's been a pleasure to chat.
Maybe.
Guys, check it all out at thehiddenwhy.com. Show notes will be there, links to Robert, etc., etc. So check it all out. And again, Robert, big thank you to you. Guys, until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. We'll see you soon.